welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Monica Gibson and I'm joined in the studio once again by Jean-François of ZAC. Using FinGraph technology, we'll be looking at the US dollar, some of its major counterparts and gold today. Jean-François, thank you very much for coming back in too.
Hi Monica, thank you for having me again.
Now we're going to start off by looking at the new look, revamped and improved website that we have here. So can you tell us about some of the changes which have been made so far?
Okay, we've tried to make some new functionalities available and them more easily accessible. So the first thing we have a user guide here that you'll find. It's on fingraphs.com, and if you go into the user guide, every single one of our instruments is here explained very easily. So if you just flick through it, it's very easy to understand. If you go from methodology, you have different documents here, and you have a summary of the different views: investors view, traders view, etc. Now if we go back to the main website, we also have added live samples. So we have a random draw of different instruments. So on the historical basis, traders view and investors view, mostly equities. Okay. And then streaming is a random draw of random samples of Dukascopy live streaming symbols on a super scalpers view and on a scalpers view. And then also the mosaic here, where you would have different selections also in a random draw. So that said, we're going to go to our markets, and I wanted to also show you something else. We're going into private selections. We have created a portfolio of the main Dukas symbols that we're going to have a look at today.
So this is something you've created here too?
I've created just before coming into the studio, and you could put any combination of symbols into these lists in our database, which is about 5,000 symbols. So a private list, favorites, etc. Okay, so we're going to have a look here at this list, look at it on a weekly basis, and I've put euro, a dollar, cable, Australian dollar, and gold on the top line here. And on the lower line, I've put dollar Swiss, dollar yen, US dollar index, and the S&P.
We did see with the dollar that the upbeat NFP figures really had, it was shooting above most of its players. But what are the charts giving us an indication of then?
Well, basically the dollar had been under pressure. The big question is, was it going to resume the downtrend, or had it created a base and needed a strong acceleration to confirm that it was moving up again? And it's basically what happened over the last few weeks. Let's see if it's sustainable, but the move is well on the way. So what you have here, the euro, and I'll quickly flick onto the euro. Well, as you see here below, and I'm probably going to scroll up a bit if I can. There we go. We were in a correction up on the long term. The weekly is in a correction up. This correction up, if you should have been finished in 2011. We're still lingering on here, and we're waiting for the euro to signal a long-term resume downtrend. We're not quite there yet, but it's not a very comfortable situation. Now if we look at the daily, the envelopes have turned down again, and we had been below the corrective target, so it is directly calculating your risk, which is impulsive, and which could bring you down between pretty much 120 and 125 over the next few months. Okay. And then on the hourly, well, the current move that had been ongoing over the last few weeks, as we discussed last week, should have continued, which actually happened. And there's still a bit more time to go. From a target's perspective, there's probably another figure of risk. So another week or so and another figure before we reach an intermediate bottom. But basically, the longer term is sounding more negative every day. Mm-hmm. Now, if we go back to our mosaic, quickly going to have a look at gold. Pretty much the same analysis on sterling and on the Australian dollar. And now if we go on to gold.
That was something that we'd said that there might be one more retest before we go into a big move over the summer. So 1 week on, what do we see?
Okay, well, basically there's still a lot of risk on the weeklies. We're still looking at targets which are between 900 and 11,000 towards the end of the year. On the daily, we were expecting an intermediate bottom, but said that we probably had a few more weeks to go, maybe mid-July before it really happened. As we can see, we've reached the targets, we are at stress, the risk index is in the green. We really need to see this starting to turn up, which hasn't happened yet. So we would keep another week or so before we could confirm this reversal up. What we see here on the hourly is that we initiated a correction up, and basically the 1285 here is basically the level we really need to go through to confirm that a more important move is happening. So as long as we stay here, we're only in a correction up, and a correction up that is having a hard time. So maybe the dailies are not quite over yet.
Okay.
Now back to our mosaic. Wanted to quickly have a look just on equities. Quickly, I came here a month and a half ago saying that over the next week or so you should have had a top. It was pretty much here. The top materialized. We had a nice correction, but the weekly is still heading up, although there's not much potential left. It's getting expensive, but the trend is still up. The dailies, similar situation, and the hourlies seem to be breaking out. So probably the correction down is over for now, and we would expect a resume uptrend during this summer. Beware, we're in a distribution zone, so it's probably not going very far, but probably until the end of the summer.
Perfect. Well, you know, certainly everything seems to be going on. You're not far off in your predictions, it does seem that it's so far, but thank you very much for giving us an update once again, Jean-François.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that's all from Jean-François and myself. Click back for all the hourly updates at Dukascopy TV. Goodbye for now.